Morning peeps, I'm back. Now this isn't the usual review of the week show. I'll be doing one of those tomorrow. This is purely if you're on the lookout for a striker, because some of you, unfortunately, like myself, I've lost Solanke this week. Terrible timing. I'll tell you about timing, peeps. Now, if Solanke had got injured like 10 days ago or whatever instead of now, we wouldn't have had his own goal to put up with last week. We could have got Wood in before his Southampton fixture and everything would have been rosy, wouldn't it? But instead, he gets injured just before Everton and Leicester. You know, it was a great differential. Nobody would have been bringing him in for that Leicester game. But those of us that had him would have been looking forward to lots of points. And the other thing is, we wouldn't have had to spend a transfer on a very sketchy bunch of potential strikers. You know, so you might be looking for a Solanke replacement. You could be looking just to bring a double game week player in just for the sake of it. You know, you might be looking at Gakpo or Calvert-Lewin or one of these sort of people. Or you may, you know, just be sick of Pedro or somebody like that and want to bring in a striker. So if you do, this is a program for you peeps, you know, because I'm not, like I said, this isn't my normal show. I'm not going to be waffling on about my own team and all that type of thing. We're just going to crack on and look for a striker. So very briefly doing all right this week, but like I said, we're not worried about that. Very interesting, average sort of a week, isn't it? This week? Everyone's got about the same score, unless you've got Foden. Anyway, Solanke must go. Look at that, home to Leicester, peeps, and he's gone. This is tragic news, especially as the striker pool is pretty thin on the ground. So we're going to have a look. We're going to go through each team and consider whether we might want to look further at a striker option. Now, Arsenal, Havertz, home away at Wolves, home to Man City, away at Leicester, West Ham. So not bad fixtures there for a while. Pretty mixed, but okay. I think he scored at the weekend, didn't he? So he's a potential person to look at. We're not ruling him out. I am ruling out Watkins because I don't have enough money for him. But he's looking decent. You know, he's a potential if you have got the money. West Ham, Wolves and Ipswich. You know, home to Ipswich. I mean, they've been garbage the last couple of weeks, haven't they? Bournemouth. Not the great fixtures so far. The Evan Nielsen replacement seems to be okay. But probably not going to be looking at him. Brentford. Couple of tricky-ish fixtures, and they've got some very nice ones. So Visser is a potential replacement. Brighton. I've already got João Pedro. I wouldn't bring him in if I didn't own him. I wouldn't bring Welbeck in if I didn't own him either. So nothing there really. Chelsea. Jackson is a consideration. We'll see how he does tomorrow. But, you know, mixed fixtures. If I brought him in, I could actually bench him next week. And then play him for these games. He's got home to Leicester, home to Southampton. But Chelsea rotation. And of course, you never know who they might buy during the winter break. Palace, not too bad. I've already got Sarr. I don't really want another Palace forward. But, you know, Mateta has been doing okay, hasn't he? Scored a couple, didn't he, at the weekend? Now, Everton, Calvert-Lewin. Now, I saw Andy's show today. And he's talking about bringing in Calvert-Lewin. And I thought the only way you're talking about bringing in Calvert-Lewin is because FPL Review must be recommending him. So I had a quick look at FPL Review. And sure enough, Calvert-Lewin is pretty high up for potential forwards. Basically because they've got that double game week. And one of the games is at home to Leicester City. And he did score today, didn't he? Probably the first time in ages. I haven't checked what he's been up to, but I know he's a nightmare to own, an absolute nightmare. And I'm away at Brighton coming up. If I did buy him this week, I'd bench him. Then I'd play him for a double game week. and then he'd probably be back on my bench pretty sharpish. And then before long, I'd be thinking, why do I have Calvert-Lewin in my team? So I'm not overly enamoured with the prospect of bringing in Calvert-Lewin. Fulham, we've got Raul Jimenez. Again, their fixtures aren't great anymore. I wouldn't be doing it. Ipswich, really not interested. I mean, you got to that, but apart from the Southampton game, his fixtures are awful. Leicester, no, thank you. There's nobody really there, is there? Now, Liverpool, Gakpo. A week or two ago, I would have said Gakpo, but the other guy, Darwin's come back and he's scored 2 goals and won them the game. So we don't know which one's going to be playing. Liverpool's fixtures, let me show you this. Right, so we're in game week 23 coming up. So it looks like game week 24 is just around the corner, doesn't it? But you look at the amount of games Liverpool are playing before they actually play that double game week. They've got Lille in a couple of days. Then they're at home to Ipswich. 4 days later, they're playing Eindhoven. 3 days after that, they're away at Bournemouth in the first of the double game week games, and that's a tough fixture. And that's only 4 days after this Eindhoven game. And a few days after that, only 3 days. No, sorry, Pete, 5 days after that, they've got a very important game against Tottenham in the League Cup. And then they've got an even more important game, peeps, even more important, Plymouth Argyle. So they better not take them lightly, as they'll be in trouble. So they've got them, and then they've got the Everton fixture, which is the second in the double. Now that is, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games before we get to that Everton match. So, you know, there's so much potential for things to happen. The transfer window's still up. We just don't know, do we? So bringing in someone like Gakpo is very much a punt, very much a punt. I mean, would he, you know, he'd almost justify himself, wouldn't he? If he started against Ipswich. It would almost be enough to bring him in if he knew he was going to play against Ipswich. If only you knew. I don't know which game it is. Let's have a We better check that, actually. Let's have a look. Oh, dearie me. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this, peeps. I don't like it. Because everyone's starting at the same time. There's no early fixture. All the tryhards are going to be look after that Liverpool lineup for that Ipswich game. Oh, dearie me. So this means either 2 things. One, I'm going to have to wait on Solanke, which means I'm going to have to absorb price drops just on the offhand that I get the lineup. The deadline's 2:30 a.m. here in New Zealand, which is an absolute nightmare. You all know what it's like, peeps. Absolute nightmare of a time to be up trying to get deadlines for games and find out who's playing and all that sort of thing. You're half asleep. Nightmare scenario. Really is. This is horrible. The other thing is, of course, I couldn't really get one in early because, like I said, they've got a fixture midweek anyway. And I think we'll find the selection for that game is likely to have a bearing on the Ipswich game, isn't it? So all up, it's looking slightly tricky from a fixture timing perspective. No early fixture that week. It's unusual, isn't it? There's nearly always an early fixture every week, except for this week coming up. That's an interesting one, isn't it? Last game of the game week again, Man United. Just like last week with Ahmad. So, even if you did, yeah, I might do that. I might wait and see on them. So it is tempting that Ipswich fixture. I mean, Ipswich led in 6 goals today. And City stopped playing after about 60 minutes. So Man City, no interest in anybody from that side. People are wondering why nobody looked at Foden. And the reason was Chelsea, Arsenal, Newcastle, Liverpool, Tottenham and away at Forest. That's why. Because a lot of people will overreact and get Foden in, but I wouldn't recommend it. I honestly wouldn't. Can't afford Haaland, so won't be getting him in. Man United strikers, Xerxes or Højlund. Absolutely no clue who's going to start. You're not going to go there. Newcastle, you obviously get Isaac if you haven't already got him, but nearly everyone has. Now Forest, Chris Wood. Now he scored again today. People without him are sick of him. And a lot of them are just going to go and buy him because they've had enough. They've capitulated and given up. But personally, peeps, I'm not going to. Because they're away at Bournemouth, then they're home to Brighton. Away at Fulham's a hard fixture, and then they've got Newcastle, Arsenal and Man City, who are now revived. Appears to be revived. So these are horrible fixtures for Wood. I know he's been fantastic, but in all seriousness, I would put him below. Actually, we'll do it in a minute. I'll do a tier ranking, but I won't have the graphics for it, unfortunately, because I've only just thought about doing a tier ranking for forwards to bring in this week. So we'll do that in a second. Southampton, not interested in anybody. Tottenham, I was hoping that I was going to watch Tottenham today, see they were great, and I was going to come and recommend Richarlison as a new GOAT, to bring him in, bring in Richarlison, home to Leicester as a GOAT pick. But the problem is, peeps, he did score, didn't he? But Tottenham look absolutely rubbish. Someone was saying that something happened to him near the end. I don't know if he's injured or not. But he didn't even start the game either, did he? So we don't know. It's all up in the air. And in all seriousness, it's hard to recommend him when they've got Brentford away after that. Man United, okay, they've got Ipswich, but I know they've got City. So I think they're probably better. West Ham, with nobody really there. And Wolves, you've got Cunha, but they've got Arsenal, Villa and Liverpool in the next three. You're not going to go there. If you want Cunha, you will be considering him come game week 27. They've got yet another lovely run of fixtures. So Cunha could be back. But in the meantime, we're looking for someone, aren't we? So here's my ranking. Tier ranking, peeps. I'll ignore the popular ones that everyone's already got. And I'm going to put Visser ahead of Wood. This is my number one pick to bring in, ahead of Wood. Because Tottenham's defence are awful. May even bench him if I brought him in this week, because that's how good my team is for this week. But Tottenham's defence is rubbish. So that's a good fixture for Brentford right there at home to Tottenham. And then they've got West Ham, Leicester and Everton. So that's not a bad option, I think, especially if you don't own Mbeumo. I put him above Wood. I know most people wouldn't, but I would put him above him. And we've got to talk about Calvert-Lewin, like I said. I just don't want to go there. I've experienced him firsthand and it was a nightmare. He does what he did today. He'll score a goal and it could be 10 weeks before you see another one. I know they've got this Leicester fixture. They've got a new manager. It's tempting. It is kind of tempting just for that Leicester fixture alone. But the fixtures after that aren't very good. And, it's a transfer you have to make. And it's a transfer you'll have to make to get rid of him too, isn't it? Now, the flyer, for me, it's between getting Visser or going for Gakpo. Or possibly even Darwin Núñez. We've got to see who Liverpool line up against Eindhoven midweek. Then you're going to have to fish around looking for leaks. If you can't get leaks, you're just going to have to trust the general feeling. And but it's kind of tempting to go for a Liverpool striker. although the double's not that fantastic. So to be honest, peeps, I'm torn at the moment between a Liverpool striker and just getting Visser now. I could just get him now, don't lose any money on Solanke, and bring Visser in. That's my initial thought. But this Ipswich game, home to Ipswich, is quite scary, So, yeah, I don't know, peeps. But Solanke has to go. Like I said, very tempted with Visser. Very tempted. Because then I can make my third Liverpool player, can be, who one I think is probably the best one. And that is Van Dijk. And I can bring him in for the double, play him against Ipswich. And then I've got Visser and very good defence for that Ipswich match. So that's kind of tempting me. Would I play Visser? I don't even know if I would. I might actually bench him for Semenyo that week and then play him the following week. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at anyway. So the question is, Solanke's not going to drop tonight, but he will drop tomorrow. People ask me if I look at stats. Well, I do look at stats. But I look at these sort of stats here. Look, make your eyes glaze over, don't they? They make your eyes glaze over. Now here's team stats, and you see Everton shot. This is shots on target. Everton, right down the bottom, Pete. Which puts me off Calvert-Lewin. I don't know why. What's his face got the lap in the other week? I mean, look at their shots in the on target, right down there. Yeah, Liverpool right at the top, you see. So you get someone in, you're going to get shots, aren't you? Gakpo, you don't know. You know, you could get Gakpo not playing as striker, playing. Nunez, if he plays, will be a striker. He's won them a game. What's his reward going to be? Is it going to be a start in Europe? Or is it going to be a start in the Premier League against Ipswich? That's a big question, isn't it? And that's what we don't know. Brentford, reasonably high up on this list. Shots on target. Where are we? This is fairly high. Higher than Wood, for example. Higher than Solanke was. You know. Whereas Calvert-Lewin, on the other hand, is way down in 31st place. So, you know, he's a long way off. Money Gakpo's even further behind. You'd have to do it per 90, probably. And you'd probably find Gakpo might improve. But he doesn't appear to have done. Where is he? Gakpo. Still in 24th place. So, you know, he's not... yeah, I don't know, peeps. I honestly don't know. I think it's going to be a flyer, isn't it? You're going to take a flyer. I think if you've got lots of transfers, you're going to take a flyer. But would you rather have Calvert-Lewin or take a flyer on someone in the Liverpool camp that's going to have less minutes but has much more upside potential? Not so much for the double, but the games either side of that double. Although, like I said, you can never guarantee which one is going to start. So you're probably none the wiser watching this, are you? We just Solanke replacement. But the problem is it's tricky because none of us really wanted to replace him, probably, because, like I said, he had Leicester at home and he was better than all the options that we're looking to bring in for that fixture anyway. So, you know, it's a bit of a bad timing all round. I think us Solanke owners have been less than our fair share of luck, peeps. Less than our fair share of luck. So we'll have a quick look around and see what the good folk at Reddit have to say that might influence this. Look, they've got an appreciation thread for Wood. I'm not getting involved in Wood because he's had his Southampton game. His fixtures aren't great. He is going to tick along. You know, he will tick along. 6, 9. Although every time he scores, he does seem to get 9 points, doesn't he? Someone highlighting the Man City fixtures to put you off buying them, and it certainly would put me off buying them. Tottenham are currently 18th in the Premier League form table. I mean, this is the Premier League form table here. Everton are down there as well. Ipswich are sinking fast. I mean, they were looking good a few weeks ago, weren't they? Like they had a chance, but they've fallen off a cliff. And Tottenham, I mean, look at that. I wouldn't be surprised if they've got no manager by the weekend, to be honest. I would not be at all surprised. I mean, they've had a terrible, like myself, peeps, like myself, they have had a terrible run of bad luck. You know, they've lost all their defenders. Solanke's injured, and it probably upsets the manager there even more than it upsets myself. You know what I mean? So they've had some bad luck, but it doesn't mean he will not be getting the boot before the weekend. I would not be surprised. Now, this is interesting. This is very interesting because so often you see like people who make a thread or whatever telling you who to buy, or you know, but you never get any feedback, do you? You never hear like 6 weeks later how it actually worked out. So it didn't work out to just keep quiet or they crow to the high heavens when it works out. But this was the thing here for all the follow-up of all the players, and it turned out actually that Foden was the best one to buy. You know, in game week 18 when Saka got injured, he romped home, absolutely romped home, peeps. Look at that, 50 points compared to 35 for Ahmed, Gordon 34, Bueno 33, Eze 29, Bruno 17. He's down the bottom, got sent off, of course, didn't help his cause. But the ones who went to Liverpool didn't do any better. Son turned out to be rubbish. Maddison even worse. A lot of people went for Maddison, didn't they, straight off the bat. But some went for Martinelli. Didn't do too bad. But Foden turned out was by far the best pick. And he did have, at the time, he did have the fixtures to back it up, didn't he? But he did not have the form. That was the only thing. And that was what put a lot of people off. Plus, of course, his price was fairly high, wasn't it? But it was an unattainable price, especially as people were taking out Saka, who costs more. Now, so Solanke's definitely out. People were saying 6 weeks, but they don't really know. But it probably will be for a while. Bournemouth a nightmare to play against, as Liverpool are going to find out during the double game week. And let's see, that might be about it. Yeah, but I just do not know, peeps. If you haven't got Solanke, you're lucky because you don't have to make any transfer of your strikers, do you? But unfortunately, I do in a week where it has to be said is not an ideal one to have to make a forward transfer. I mean, to be honest, my best play could well be not to even sell him. It could well be not to even sell him this week because I've got the perfect team here where I was going to have to bench Semenyo or João Pedro. So the best thing probably, in all seriousness, the best thing to do, I think, honestly, would be for me to save the transfer and let Solanke's price drop. But you know me, peeps, I hate prices dropping. Hate to watch it. So what I think I'm going to do, having thought about that aspect of it, is I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and see how the Liverpool situation develops. You never know. There could be some injuries in the Champions League matches. There could even be an injury to Palmer tomorrow. in the Chelsea match, couldn't they? So I'm definitely going to wait, I think. I'm not doing anything today. I'm pretty certain I'm going to wait until at least after the Champions League matches. Possibly I'm going to be up at deadline waiting to see if I can get that Liverpool lineup. And if I don't get the Liverpool lineup, I might just roll and make the transfer following week. Because realistically, I mean, he's not got that high ownership anymore, Solanke, has he? So how fast is his price going to drop? I just hate losing money on players. I just hate it. I mean, if I got Visser in, they haven't got any more matches to worry about, really, have they? So I could just get Visser in and be done with it. Then I have my benching headaches back. And then I could do what I said. I could do true transfers. I could get Virgil van Dijk in. I mean, is Virgil van Dijk over the double game week and the two surrounding fixtures? Is he likely to outscore a Liverpool attacker? I mean, he could well do, couldn't he? I mean, you're going to think that he's going to play all the matches. He's going to play them all. Would they rest him against Ipswich? It's unlikely, I think, isn't it, for Van Dijk to be injured? Very unlikely. And the other thing, of course, peeps, is a lot of you are playing your chip, aren't you? So you won't be able to get a third Liverpool player in anyway. But I'm not playing my chip. So yeah, that's another reason to move this week, is I can get Virgil van Dijk in this week. That I'll have the money to do it, which I otherwise wouldn't have had. Very tempting, very tempting. I'm tempted to get Visser. Visser is more of a, he's going to get a lot more minutes than the Liverpool strikers are. It also means I can get Virgil van Dijk in. And let's be honest, they're not going to get that many minutes, are they, those two Liverpool strikers, Darwin Núñez or Gakpo? You know, obviously, whoever starts against Ipswich is in for a haul, probably. But so could Van Dijk be in for a haul, couldn't he? He could easily score off a corner. And he's got the clean sheets as well, hopefully. So, yeah, I mean, I don't like buying players for risks of selection. So, to me, that probably does rule out Gakpo and Núñez. Calvert-Lewin, I don't think it's worth it just for having an extra fixture. I mean, the extra fixtures against Liverpool, if they weren't playing in a double game week, would people buy them in because they had Leicester at home in a normal week? I don't think you would you? You wouldn't go there. You wouldn't go there, peeps. So to go there just because they've got a game against Liverpool as well, I think is ridiculous. So we'll not be going Calvert-Lewin. You know, like I said, Chris Wood is there. If I got Chris Wood instead of Solanke, then I would not have enough money to get Virgil van Dijk. That's another reason not to get Wood. So I think I've talked myself in to getting Visser while I'm doing this. One, I don't lose money on Solanke. Two, I don't have a benching headache with my Liverpool strikers. Three, I don't have to be up at 2:30 in the morning looking around blooming dodgy accounts, getting my hands dirty, mixing with these people, giving them hits or whatever to try and look for like leaks. You know, that's not my game. I don't like doing all that type of thing. I'd rather be fast asleep and wake up later on and whatever. Do you know what I mean? So if you've got lots of transfers, you might be more likely to get one of them in. But me, I haven't got transfers to waste because I keep getting stupid little injuries like Solanke, stopping me saving any up. So that's another advantage to get Visa. I don't have to be up at 2:30 looking around all those sites. Third advantage is I haven't got Bueno. And like I said, Brentford have got nice fixtures coming up. That's another good reason to get him. I don't have to worry about him not playing, unlike these Liverpool ones. Very, very difficult. And like I said, the other one is I can bring in Van Dijk, which is important because my defenders, if I don't bring Van Dijk in, my defenders have got a couple of bad weeks coming up. You know, I've got them for the double, which is great. And I'll still have another transfer, so I could bring somebody else in if I wanted to. We'll take him out and put Visser in. Where's young Visser gone? Home to Tottenham. I might not even play him, that's the thing. And I'll probably play him and bench Semenyo, although that's a risk we saw this week. Luckily, I got Semenyo off the bench this week with his 5 points. I did at least get that for Solanke. So I can play them, Gabriel home to Man City for his attacking, or I could even play Harwood Bellis away at Ipswich, funnily enough. I mean, that's not totally out of the question. But I think that's stronger. I think that's stronger, having Van Dijk. I've had those two for there, look, for the Wolves game. Gabriel away at Leicester. And Visser starts getting into his nice fixtures. Benching headaches abound in that week. I'd have to bench Fernandes away at Tottenham, or Isaac away at Man City even, or probably João Pedro at home to Chelsea, but that's a good fixture as well. It's a massive benching headache that week. But it is what it is, peeps, you know. So we're not talking about my team anyway today. We're talking about the best strikers. And to be honest, I think it's between Wood and Visser. You know, if you've got the money, Watkins is another one for 3 weeks. It's a good one. But I really would not be persuaded by these content creators that use review and are going to try and make themselves look different by suggesting Calvert-Lewin. You know, go there at your own risk, peeps, in my view. But we shall see. You know, they're very brave about talking about bringing them in 7 weeks before the deadline. But you can pretty much guarantee he will not be in their teams once we kick off next week. But in all seriousness, I do think saving Solanke is my second best option. But the only reason I don't want to do it is because I want to get my Liverpool replacement in this week. You know, again, the Ipswich game's too good to wait for your Liverpool replacement. You know, so I'm doing it this week. It looks like 2 transfers, Van Dijk and Visser in, and Solanke and Colwell, now, who was just there as a placeholder in case they ever needed anyone off the bench. And I'd much rather keep Robinson. FPL Review is actually telling me to sell Robinson this week for Canate. You know, he's another decent option, Canate. But I certainly would not be selling Robinson for him. Anyway, peeps, I'm off now. I've had enough. I'll be back tomorrow with the game week review. See how Palmer gets on. I'll be quite happy if Palmer doesn't start. Then I can roll the dice on Colwell, but he might not even play as well. But, you know, quite a few people have captained Palmer. So that's the main danger tomorrow. Ranks could fall. But we shall all see tomorrow anyway, peeps. So cheers for now. And good luck with whatever you decide. And a lot of you don't own Solanke, of course. But if you do, then like me, you would understand how terrible that timing was, won't you? Whereas everyone else, I'd just be laughing at you. Anyway, peeps, I'm off now. Like and subscribe and talk to you all tomorrow. Okay then, cheers for now.